world is beginning to reflect humanity's return to our Christ consciousness within. Again, we can start looking and see it. Now, we are experiencing more and more of the level of enlightenment that we were first given when we were breathed into life by the Creator. The Christ consciousness is the level of enlightenment that we were invested with at our inception, when we were first breathed forth from the core of creation from Father, Mother, God. Therefore, it is already within us. It is a huge part of who we are, the Christ. All sons and daughters of God, the Christ consciousness is the level of enlightenment that we must all return to as we continue our path on the evolutionary process. Our return to the Christ consciousness will be accomplished by healing all the adverse effects that we've felt inside of ourselves from our fall of grace, so that we can begin to speed up this ascension spiral of evolution so we get to go to the next level. And we need to remember as we do this that Christ is not strictly based in Christianity. We don't say, oh, we don't want to use that word, but we want to go for a higher esoteric meaning of that and other words and symbols that may come to us as taught here. If the term Christ consciousness or any term associated with Christianity, such as God, church, cross, etc., prevents you from hearing the message that's being given to humanity by the company of heaven, then all means change the term to what resonates with you as your name of the true God reality. Or you could go back and look at the original meaning that's been convoluted over centuries of time and help change it within yourself to a more spiritual, metaphysical terms for your understanding. For instance, you might use the words such as your God self, your higher self, superconscious mind, divinity within, universal consciousness, whatever else you choose to. But please, I ask of you, do not miss the cosmic opportunity to add to the light of the world because of semantics. They're just words. You are the one that puts something onto them. And remember, when it comes to normal Christian terms, there's no right or wrong. There's no better than any other religion or worse than any other religion or belief or symbol that they may have. All that is when we get caught up into it, it's the ego's world of duality. It's all your own reactions, and you need to change them within so that you can hear the deeper message from God, from Source, so that nothing stops you from I believe. I hear the truth and I believe. And also remember during this time that all is one. God is in everything, every religion, every being. So let's get away from separation. For several decades, the beings of light from the realms of illumined truth have been preparing us for this critical moment in our evolutionary process. The selfless messengers of our Father, Mother, God have revealed to us that as we all awaken more to the light of God, then it will increase on planet Earth. And that's why I talked about the light I am and awake I am, so that we could be that as the light gets stronger and stronger. They have told us that this influx of light would cause everything that conflicts with the harmony and balance of God to be pushed up to the surface, to be healed and transmuted. I've mentioned that before too. We always want to see when there's darkness, negativity, there's always God's light pushing it to be healed. And since all life is interdependent, interrelated, interconnected, it's all the oneness that it's in all of us. And so, because of that, this purging that's going on now and in the past and will be happening, this purging is a necessary step in our own ascension up the spiral of evolution. Again, there is no separation. We are all one. So this intense cleansing that's going on in our lives right now must be accomplished for any of us to move forward in the light. And the reasons that these beings of light have invested such unprecedented time and energy over the years preparing us for the moment is because it is the divine intent of Father, Mother, God that this purging process be accomplished with as little pain and suffering as possible. It's always been known that during this time, challenging things would come up in our lives for us to deal with, and they have been happening. In fact, if we take this time right now and look at it in the Bible, it would be quoted by the theme in there that says, if you've read it before, the time of screaming and gnashing of teeth. Doesn't that feel like that at times when we're dealing with things? So the purpose of the miraculous divine invention that humanity has received over the past several decades was intended to allow us to alleviate our suffering by giving us new tools to work with, including guidance, information, sacred knowledge that would ease the pain that we feel inside and assist us in moving quickly through these difficult times. So without seeing the bigger picture that has been given to us by Company of Heaven, it's very easy for us to look at the outside appearances and come to the conclusion that something's definitely wrong and we're on the verge of a giant global economic collapse, or that humanity is spiraling into an abyss of chaos and despair. In reality, dear ones, nothing further could be from the truth. There are many souls and groups out there, including us, who have been asked by the Company of Heaven to open themselves up to this service work within themselves. It's time for us to do that so that we can start providing the love, the encouragement, the support, the guidance, the hope, the inspiration that everyone all over the world, including us, needs in order for all of us to work through these difficult times. And for us to be able to take that moment and see whatever we're suffering with or dealing with, everybody is. There is no separation. There is the oneness, and we get to connect. And maybe we could look more at people and say, they're not the bodies that they inhabit. They're not their names. They're not the instances that go on. They are much more than that. They are the light. They are the Christ. That might help us work with this a little bit more. So in the past few years, wonderful energetic changes have taken place. A few years ago, we reached a critical mass of energy and vibration and consciousness that allowed the I Am presence within us to initiate us into the title of this talk, a higher order of being. I mean, that's really fantastic when we get to know that we're moving deeper within ourselves to being much stronger and connected to the God self. Which is why I did this 4-week series, which was to see about the effects of I am that I am. I am all that I am. So, this is the moment, beloveds, that we've been longing for, and our sense our fall from grace into the fragmented and fear-based consciousness of separation and duality. Outer world events are now beginning to reveal this shift of consciousness that's taking place within the masses of humanity. Again, your mind may say it doesn't look like that, but look underneath the light that's coming up. Over the past several months, we've witnessed massive demonstrations in several places around the world that indicate that people everywhere are reaching the conclusion that violence and aggression are not acceptable ways of solving problems anymore. This realization will gradually inspire everyone to seek viable solutions to solve our world's problems through cooperation with one another, mutual respect, caring, and a deep commitment to finding the answers that result in divine good for all concerned. And that could be you, as the Christ that you are. The next phase of this unfolding divine plan for planet Earth is being revealed to us right now. As long as we stay awake and see what's coming our way, this plan involves in creating a global wave of Christ consciousness. Can you get the picture of that? Like this wave of Christ consciousness of light is just flowing throughout the universe right now. And it's going to amplify 1,000-fold our initiation into a higher order of being. So hold those words in your mind that this is what we're moving into. The Company of Heaven has said this facet of the divine plan will co-create a quantum shift that will exponentially move humanity and this planet forward into the light in 2019. The success of this activity of light will catapult every person on earth into the next phase of them of the Christ consciousness. And that will greatly intensify the remembrance of our oneness of life. We will begin to remember more where we came from and who we are. When this inner knowing begins to reverberate once again within each person's heart flame, the thought of harming any part of life in any way at all would be unconscionable, because we know the truth now. When the concept of violence and aggression are no longer an option within the recesses of our heart, what would happen? We'll begin to tap into viable solutions that are there from the Christ self, that will result in actions that will take us into deeper consideration of the oneness of life. and the highest good for all concerned, not just a few, but all, which is the I am consciousness. It's in everybody and every place and everything. These events will pave the way for humanity's collective shift into a higher order of being. And that's destined to take place through our divine intervention in this year. Every light worker will be in your own right and perfect place during this wonderful time that's coming up for us. So don't need to worry about it. It will come to you. You will know it. And you may not consciously get it, but it will be there on a soul level. No facet of this plan is more important than any other. And that's why it's important that we respond to what our I Am presence is guiding us to do. So, beloveds, I ask of you to let this be the day. Let this be the moment that you say yes to this higher order of being, that you accept this role that's there for you to be the spiritual peacemaker that you are. And remember, you chose to be here at this time for that single reason. And you've come to the point of the reason to embody the I Am consciousness. I am that I am. It's time to know that you've claimed it, and it's now true. It's inside of you. Remember, you are divine beings, and the time is here to experience the truth. I believe, as Pisces does. I believe the truth more and more. So to end, I want to share with you a vision for religions. We see a world where all religions have come together to celebrate all the different ways that lead to a true awareness of God. We see all people of all religions praying, affirming, communicating, and thus stepping into their power, based not upon the fear of repercussion, but upon a knowing that what is asked for in God's name is answered in His love. We see love replacing fear, helpfulness replacing anger, joy replacing sorrow, and a sacred reverence for the Spirit in all things, which will replace ignorance and indifference. And we envision communities made up of people from all paths, working for the highest good of the whole. And we see everyone, everywhere, truly caring about everyone else, no matter what path they are on or what religion they choose to follow. Doesn't that sound great? Let's believe that and live that in ourselves too, as I say namaste.